Hello, and welcome back to Alternative Programming. This is the show where we take topics and we talk about them. I'm your host, Jackuwarz. This is the 20th installment of it. Yeah, about that. Gameplay in the background, we're playing some Super Smash Bros. Melee, just screwing around with the black hole glitch. You know, usual business that you do in Melee, besides playing this game competitively. I did this while members of the Gaming Master guys were over. This is me and my buddy Gerald. He was controlling I think he was Peach, and I guess one of the Star Fox characters. I threw in Master Hand, maybe think this would be fun too. So never mind the gameplay, that's gonna be that. But the topic for today, we're going to be doing a franchise retrospectives on not one, not two, not three, but 4 franchises. Kind of worded the same way I did last part, but we're going to be talking about Street Fighter, Bayonetta, Castlevania, and Final Fantasy, all in this one video for you guys, because I can't just have them in one video by themselves. I feel like this video would be over in a minute, because I really, even combining all 4 of these franchises, I don't have that much to say about any of them, because outside of Super Smash Bros. And maybe a few times I've played these games, maybe briefly, with somebody that I know at, say, school or anywhere else, and maybe that's where I would have played them. Or in Bayonetta's case, it's a demo, and maybe with Final Fantasy also. But yeah, just simply put, I have nearly enough time with them. Look at this is insane. I thought the Master Hand would have annihilated the black hole as soon as it touched it with the grab attack. Anyways. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of expertise with these franchises either that we're talking about, you know, just like with Xenoblade, but I'll give you my brief rundowns, talk about, you know, my perspectives on these franchises regardless, because Street Fighter, I'd say that's the franchise, the flagship kind of fighting game, other than Smash Brothers, because I'm not alone when I say this, but Smash Brothers is the only fighting game that I know how to play. I'd like to know how to get into Mortal Kombat. Like, I need to know the, you know, frame data as well. I guess frame datas aren't too bad. My big gripes with the other fighting games is the button layouts. They're a bit all over the place. Like, you gotta do what, forward, down, diagonal right, or diagonal forward, just to do some special moves. Whereas Smash Bros. It's much more simple, just a stick stroke and a button, and that's it. But it seems like with every other fighting game, that's how it's designed. It has to be, you know, those button combinations, and of course that didn't jive with me at all. And Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, even, we'll get into that later. All those fighting games I kind of swept under the rug very easily, and in favor for, you know, this Super Smash Brothers, you know, the entire series there. I guess I could say a few things about the characters. I don't really have any favorite characters. Don't really know too much outside, say, Ryu and Ken, and Guile, and Vega, and Chun-Li. I'd say they're alright. Kind of a weird character designs that they got in Street Fighter V, let's just say, especially with the female characters. But I'm not gonna get too far into that, because well, Bayonetta's gonna have that same deal as soon as we're gonna talk about them. Because okay, that's all I got for Street Fighter. Bayonetta, I believe I played a demo of Bayonetta, the second game on the Wii U, not too far back, you know, around the time where I was trying out demos, like, say, with Sonic Boom, Rise of Lyric, and Sonic Lost World, and a few other games that had demos available. And Bayonetta 2, the Wii U, that was one of them. I thought it was an interesting game, very, it's quite something to try and get the game, excuse me, to try and do the parry mechanic, where if you do the parry, you stop time and all the enemies are frozen. That was a rather interesting thing, and it wasn't, I didn't feel like it was the easiest thing to pull off every time, but I feel like if you nail that every time, you know, kind of like with the parry in Smash Bros. Ultimate, then it can be a pretty useful tool, and probably save your skin on most situations in the game. But I probably should play the first Bayonetta game, even though this is weird thing with the first and second game is you can kind of flip-flop between either of the two games and kind of not miss out on the plot, like, in a weird way. the Bayonetta 2 you can make it so the second game feels like the first game, and then you can hop into the first game and play that, and then things would feel somewhat chronological. Yeah, kind of interesting. But one day, in the sea of other franchises that represented Super Smash Bros., which is where all these franchise retrospectives are coming from. Just going through all the retrospectives on all the franchises represented in Smash Bros. And with the release of Kazuya just a few days ago, we're going to add Tekken to the very back end of the list. That'll be the last bit of franchises that we'll retrospect on. And then a few more after that. That's not a part of Smash Bros., just some other games that I've been playing a whole lot of. Back to Bayonetta. Not really much I can say. I do sympathize with the fans that have been waiting for Bayonetta 3 to come out. It's been like, what, 2000, I don't, maybe not 17, but 2018 when they first revealed that reveal trailer, and we haven't heard words since. I had to give you my timetable on when Bayonetta 3 could come out. We haven't heard anything from this year's E3. You'd figure the latest for that game to come out now would be either next year or at worst sometime in 2023. So I wouldn't give hope. Bayonetta fans, I'm sure the developers are doing everything they need to do to make this game as good as the first two. So keep hope. I think Bayonetta 3 is going to be just as good, if not even better, than the first two games, and fix on whatever was wrong with the first two games, if any, because the first two games are masterpieces. Especially the second game. It's you can scan amiibos. Amiibo, my bad. There's no plural for amiibo. It's just amiibo, even if you have it in a plural tense. But scan amiibos in Bayonetta 2, and you give Bayonetta extra costumes. Those including Link's tunic, Samus's power suit, and there's one for Star Fox. And then there's a level in Bayonetta 2 where you can pilot in Arwing. And I guess Nintendo saw that that cameo and said, you know what, Platinum, help us work on Star Fox Zero, and they did that. So that was cool. To only think, I want to say Bayonetta 2 had development in 2013, and then they helped develop Star Fox Zero at around 2014, late 2014, early 2015, and then up until when Star Fox Zero came out, 2016. So a neat thing there to give Star Fox fans hope, seeing the cameo in Bayonetta 2. So that's all I got for Bayonetta. Next up, Castlevania. The first time I've ever heard of the Castlevania franchise, it took me quite a while. This was around 2010, probably. Yeah, that's a good assumption. 2010. This is during the Nintendo Wii's Nintendo Channel, where they had the Nintendo Week. It's a weekly series where Gary and Allison were showing off games that were coming out from Nintendo. It was an awesome series. It was like the Nintendo Direct before there was a Nintendo Direct. We got them weekly too, and not once every 3 months. So amazing stuff. And in it, it was around the October area. They're showing off some games that came out for the Wii Shop channel at around that time. Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, and Castlevania. That was one of them. Okay, just like the last two franchises, I didn't play any of them. But I do hear nothing but praise for the original NES and Super Nintendo games, even games past the Super Nintendo, like on the PlayStation 1, such as Castlevania Symphony of the Night. There's also Castlevania Rondo of Blood, Dracula X, the one where you play as Richter Belmont. Those are also great. And then we eventually get into the more Metroidvania genre of games, where there's this big labyrinth, and that kind of steered a little bit away from the original feel of Castlevania. Even though Symphony of the Night had that, but they made more games like that after Symphony of the Night, and then I guess the hype train for Castlevania died out. And then not too long after the Switch came out, maybe in 2019, maybe early 2020, around the time when Mega Man ZX Zero Collection came out. We got a Legacy Collection from Konami that had the original NES Castlevania games. And I think they threw in Castlevania, Super Castlevania as well. Might be wrong with that. I didn't check that before I hit record on this video. But if I had to pick one Castlevania game I absolutely needed to play, I'll pick the Super Nintendo, because I feel being able to whip in multiple directions, that's a big plus to have, because in the NES games you only whip in horizontal or crouching position, and that made it so that there's a lot of enemies that are very difficult to hit, either because they're too short or your whip direction is that limited. And that reminds me of so I've been talking about the Super Nintendo, NES, and PlayStation 1 games. There's also a few Castlevania games that came out on the Nintendo 64. And I'm really only knowing all this because I've watched the Angry Video Game Nerds videos on Castlevania way back in the day, in say 2009. Yeah, and it's 4x3 days before he went widescreen. So those classic videos where he's talking about Castlevania, and just based on what he's reviewed and demonstrated from the N64 Castlevania games, those are some pretty dated games. And if there's this game-breaking bug where you need to have an item, and if you don't have it at the right time, then you can't progress or something, that doesn't sound very good. And plus, the fact that it's Castlevania on the N64, Konami wanted to take Castlevania into that 3D leap, and it gave us the same fate as Mega Man, whereas both franchises didn't transition well into 3D. So that was somewhat disappointing to see. And well, I was about to say Mortal Kombat might be kind of like that too, but Deception, Deadly Alliance, and Armageddon are alright games, but still, I feel those games get beaten out by the 2D games that we've seen in with the start of Mortal Kombat 9, X, and then 11, and of course the classics. So that's all I really got for Castlevania. It's a solid. What can I say about Castlevania? It's a solid series with good platforming. One of those good Halloween games to play if you need to be in that mood. Well, you don't need it to be October for that. You can just play it whenever, and you have a good time. It's a very difficult game, just right up there with Ghouls and Ghosts, and I guess the original Super Mario Brothers games if you're not that experienced. But it's NES hard difficulty at its core. It's something. And so our final franchise that we're gonna be going over today, it's Final Fantasy. I don't have anything on Final Fantasy. It's kind of like with RPGs, I treat it just like with Smash Brothers. If it's not, say, Mario and Luigi or Paper Mario, then I'm kind of out on RPGs, because Final Fantasy, they just give you all kinds of things that you can tweak and adjust. Get you multiple party members, multiple things you gotta equip. Whereas in Paper Mario, there's maybe only one or handful of things that you need to equip. And the interface is all over the place. So that being alone, that's one thing that kind of deterred me from playing multiple Final Fantasy games. Well, maybe not multiple, a single one. There is this very similar game to Final Fantasy that is Mario themed, that we got Super Mario RPG. I think it's got the similar reasons as to why I didn't play Super Mario RPG all that much. I mean, I did play it a little bit, but maybe the first 2 hours of the game, and didn't pick it up since. But definitely, if there's a game that can get me into the Final Fantasy franchise, I gotta start with Super Mario RPG and then make that slow transition as to where I can make my first Final Fantasy game. Actually, I did try to. My first Final Fantasy game was going to be 13, because when I got my PS3 in 2010, late 2010, around the time I made this channel actually, we got a few games bundled with it. Actually, just one. Final Fantasy 13, the original. And I didn't really think too much about it. That, and we also got Advent Children Complete. That was on Blu-ray. We watched that. That was one of the first few things we did with the PS3 is watch Advent Children Complete and just watch its Blu-ray glory. I think PS3 was our first ways of watching Blu-ray movies. So that was interesting. But back to Final Fantasy 13. I did see Jamie play a good chunk of the game. Maybe, I think she got past the first, I want to say 20 hours of the game, to the point where you can pick whatever party members you want. You get all of them, and you're in the big area with the chocobos. And it's kind of like Xenoblade Chronicles, where this is big area, you can fight whatever enemy, no matter how overly leveled they are. You know, the whole level 80 dinosaur in the baby starting area, you get some of that goodness. No, I'm kidding, that's possibly the worst thing you can have happen in an area like that. But yeah, definitely I gotta give Final Fantasy 13 a try. And then there's always the Final Fantasy 7 tree line of games. There's the original on the PS1, and of course there's the Final Fantasy 7 remake. It's sitting there. It's on my PS4. It's one of the many games that I got for free thanks to PS Plus. And this month we got I forgot all the other games, but the one game that I remember that came out this month is Call of Duty Black Ops 4, which of course I already own. Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of that with PlayStation Plus. A lot of games that you've already owned and are just offering there. So kind of a wasted spot if you already have that. So you got that. I'm gonna wrap this commentary up. I think I've covered up everything that I wanted to cover with Final Fantasy and with the rest of the other franchises. So that's been this week's edition of Alternative Programming. Hope the I'm probably gonna not even have gameplay audio because it's just loud turnip crashing sounds the whole time. So I hope you guys just enjoyed the gameplay. We're just me and Gerald screwing around with the black hole glitch in Melee, and me talking about franchises that I haven't even set foot on. But next week's franchise retrospectives, we're back to more interesting things. You know, like with last week with Mega Man. We're gonna cover only one franchise next week, and that's Splatoon. So look forward to that edition of Alternative Programming. Thank you for watching this edition, and I'll catch you next time.